heck are you? Didn't you read the door? No, it said Mike. If you didn't read it, then what the hell are you doing here? Oh, I swore in the first minute. Weird. Wrong, wrong, wrong. This, you hearing yourself yapping? The room ain't your air crack? Me. Not you. I'm the only real Mike, mother. Then I'm here to jam with you today. Alright. So, before I go on a trip in our favorite rocket ship, zooming through the stars, I want to talk about Mike, okay? Now, I know this review is probably like a day or so late, but I really do want to get on and talk about Mike, because I feel like Mike was one of those secret bosses that Deltarune kind of had that I feel like not a lot of people respected. Now, I want to take you back to before a time where, and what I mean by this is before a moment where we, if I remember correctly, this is before I really did, like, any of the secret bosses. Like, very seriously. Probably other than at this point, maybe Secret Boss Spampton, or maybe even before that. But I found out, right? I found out about all the secret bosses when watching a video, like how many there were, and I knew how many because I was doing research when everybody was playing them and stuff, and loading up their videos, and when I was playing Deltarune a little bit. So, don't worry, chat. It's not like I immediately went over and did Mike, okay? And, funny enough, I actually was weirdly interested in Mike. I remember when I was playing against Mike, right? I was weirdly interested. I remember I was like, if I remember, right? I was at first, not at first. At first I was like, I don't care about Mike. He's not even worthy of a boss fight, you know, because at that time, way before I did any secret boss, I didn't really want to do any because I know how I would get, you know, I know how I would react, I know how mad I would get at these, and, you know, Jubel's a great example of why I would hate my life, but, and probably Spamp the Neo Snowgrave would probably be a reason I would, hate my life. Sorry, I also gotta watch out for something. Like a knock or something, so I'm very antsy, so I need to be paying attention today. Anyways, as I was saying, yeah, so for the most part, oh man, it's weird, okay? It's weird. But anyway, so, like I said, before, I didn't give a fuck. And as I was continuing, going on, doing the secret bosses, I started to care more and more and more and more. And I remember at a point, and this is before I did the Roaring Knight or Gerson, I remember I was going to do Mike as a secret boss fight because this is what my mindset was on doing secret bosses before, you know, before I kind of just did them all anyway, right? Was, well, Snowgrave doesn't really count as secret boss, he counts as the final boss, but you get what I mean. Anyways, I digress, right? So, I remember, let me just put it bluntly, because I'm also trying to speed up this review, because I know, you know, boy's been having a bad day, you know, want to talk to the homie, help the homie out. Anyways, like I said, right? So, I didn't care about most secret bosses, and then I did them all, right? And at a point, I was like, I went into my main file, I remember, and I was like, yo, let's go try to, you know, to do Mike. This is easy, because you can fight Mike in Chapter 4, and then you can also, like, you can fight him at the beginning of the chapter, and then you can fight him at the end of the chapter, where it's just Chris, okay, that fights him at the end. But if you fight him before that in the beginning, you bring along Susie and Rouse and, you know, all that other mumbo-jumbo stuff, right? So, I did it because on my main file, I tried doing it at the end of Chapter 4 because I already beat Titan at that point, and I kind of got locked out of Gerson, so I couldn't really do Gerson back then either. So, because of that, and because I already beat Titan, I was like, okay, I can fight Mike. Screw the other bosses, right? I whipped up a stream thinking I could fight Mike, right? And it was like a baby stream that I kind of deleted because I found out, because I didn't recruit many people, and keep in mind, this is very important, unless you want to create another file. Spare every fucking person you can find in Chapter 3 / recruit them to your team. And I'm telling you, if you do that, like try to recruit or spare the people on your team and stuff, make sure they get to live their lives and stuff or whatever, or have mercy on the enemy. and stuff like that, make sure you do that throughout Chapter 3. So that way you can have enough people. Your opinion on Gerson? That's going to be another video. That's going to be another review entirely. Right now, I'm focused on Mike. But I do have an opinion on Gerson. We'll talk about that when we get to... We'll talk about that when we get to Gerson and stuff. But anyways, right? So I was like, okay, bet. I got so pissed because I couldn't do Mike on my main file. And I was actually really upset. I was really upset because I was like, dude... I can't do Mike on my main file. That sucks. I know he doesn't drop a Shadow Crystal or anything, at least to my knowledge, because I only did the beginning version and not the end of Chapter 4 version. Maybe at the end of Chapter 4 version, he might drop a Shadow Crystal. I don't even know. But I digress. Anyways, as I was saying, I thought I could fight him. I couldn't fight him, and I was upset about that. So what I really had to do was, and I was also really determined at this point in time to also fight Gerson, because keep in mind, at this time period, I was very hesitant to redo chapters just so I could get better things. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, I'm very hesitant on, just redoing chapters, because redoing chapters takes hours to do most of the time. It takes a couple of hours, and it's not in me to, redo something so much just for something, right? Though, as of late, as you guys know, I've been redoing Deltarune chapters for a while now because of the whole, the Mike situation, the Gerson situation is why I redid my stuff, and all that other sort of stuff, right? I didn't get all that, right? I was like, okay, bet. And you get it. I'm trying to get words together, but they're not coming out. It's just that I'm still a little excited after, going over to Gerson and stuff, seeing what he was about, and, Anyways, I digress. So, after that, I created a new file. I said, you know what? I'm going to do the Mike fight no matter what. I'm going to do every secret boss to the best of my ability. If I can beat them, I can beat them, right? And I'll sit there for however long. Because I know Toby Fox, he makes secret bosses that you can beat. It's beatable. Even if it's stupid hard, you can do it. Alright? Anyways. I mean, I played Undertale Genocide, so I should know. I played all rounds of Undertale, so I should know. But anyways, as I was saying, I created that new file. I whipped it up. And I found out that you can fight Mike at the beginning of the chapter. Because before, at this point, I was sitting there like, wait a minute. I thought Mike was only after you do everything in that chapter sort of thing. No, it turns out you can go to the Dark World. You just head over to the TV room because the TV area is available, right? And you can put in the password. You can do all the kiddie stuff as early as you possibly want. Now, I was scared because keep in mind, right? I was also trying to find items and try to have healing items on me because I don't know how hard Mike's boss fight is. Like, to be honest, I didn't know how hard it was, right? And I may have watched a video back then, like, way before I even did the fight at least once or twice just to get a little sneak peek at it, but I definitely forgot it at this point in time. But anyways, I was scared because I had no healing items since this was a new file. I was like, fuck, if this is the hardest boss in Deltarune, right, to my knowledge, right, because this is before I was doing, like, research, or maybe I even did research before that point. I was still a little scared. I was still a little hesitant, because I bring a fuck ton of items if I'm scared, if I'm feeling some sort of way, all that other sort of stuff, right? So, I decided to do him at the beginning, because I was like, you know what? I love Deltarune. I want to give you guys more Deltarune content, so I did Mike, right? And I found out, while fighting Mike, for the most part, even in my video, that Mike only took me about, what? If I do the math correctly, Mike only took me approximately 15 minutes to deal with, right? And, Cat, stop, please. Thank you. Sorry, hearing him in the back of my review, right? So, as you can see, I did this in the beginning on the different file. I explained myself, the battle with Mike, right? I was expecting this fight to be the hardest fight in the game. But no, like it's supposed to be a fight. And buddy, dude, no, go. This is my review. I'm not gonna berate this one. Go. Go, buddy. You eat all the time. You know you do. Kitty, I know what I'm doing, buddy. Go on. You're fine. Sheesh. Can a guy do a review around here? Anyways, so when I was fighting Mike and I got done with the fight, I remember I was doing research and I remembered the research that I was doing and on this fight, and I remember a lot of Deltarune fans being extremely upset at this boss fight. And because they were like, oh, was it just me, or was it like Mike was a really disappointing fight? Dude! Okay, man. Now you need to go. Sit on the couch somewhere, dude. Excuse me, he's starting to freaking bother me, dude. I'm trying to speak about this. But I remember, like I said, a lot of people like on Reddit and stuff were talking about the Mike fight, and they were like, man, is it just me? Or is Mike extremely disappointing, right? And a part of me was like, what do you mean disappointing? And I understand where these people are coming from because they've probably played, tons of Undertale fan games or Deltarune fan games with extremely hard fights that push them on the edge. And a part of me was like, I get that. Everybody wants a fight that's gonna push them in some way, shape, or form to be, I don't know, a little bit better, or just push them in a way that's like, oh, I feel energized by this fight. I feel really freaking good about this battle. I feel really good about it, I feel good about the secret boss. And then suddenly Mike shows up with this goofy fight, switching himself between three other versions of Mike, right? You have moves where you have to like applaud, like stay up, go down, kind of like some Flappy Bird style stuff. You also have to constantly like use your R2 button to rub, and then there's this other freaking version of Mike, and then the other version of Mike you have to do with his moves, and it's a whole freaking thing. And I just remember, like, I was sitting there like, man, when I fought Mike, I was satisfied with what his fight showed me. I wasn't like hating on it or anything. Matter of fact, I was close to dying on it, or pretty close to dying on it, I think. Yeah. I was pretty close to dying on it, right? And I even got like pretty low health multiple times. So for me, in my own experience dealing with Mike, and I know I'm not the best at Undertale fan games over here in the corner, or Deltarune fan games, but I can easily tell you, Mike is Mike's not really a problem. Like, Mike is low-key a pretty good fight. Matter of fact, he's funny. He's supposed to be, like, I can tell, like, from the beginning of the fight to the ending of his little battle, it's supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be not something you're supposed to be taking Omega seriously, like Sans from Undertale, Genocide Route, or Undyne, or Gerson, or the Roaring Knight, or Spampton, Spampton Neo Snowgrave, if you want to go there, if you don't say Spampton Secret Boss, or Jebel, And if I'm just using Deltarune examples, people were thinking, like, Mike's going to be on the same level as Jebel, or the Roaring Knight, Chapter 3 Roaring Knight, anyway, or, for example, like, Spampton, people were thinking, oh, this is going to be some really hard shit, and it's like they found out it wasn't, and it disappointed those people. And I'm not trying to say they're wrong for that opinion, because they're absolutely valid to have their own opinion and their own criticism of the fight. It's just that from a perspective of, like, like, someone like me, or casual players like me, right? Or I wouldn't say casual, I'm getting more and more into it the more I get, into it. But I still sometimes feel like a casual Deltarune player. But in the eyes of a Deltarune player that's a casual, that says, you know what? I want to attempt one of these guys, and Mike ends up being one of those guys, and I want to have a good time. I want to have fun. This is a fight that, I mean, you gotta like focus on a little bit, because you gotta focus on like the cats and all the other moves he has. But I would say like this fight is honestly like one of those fights that you can like be like, oh, that's funny, you know, about, you know, that's funny. Okay, this move is okay. Like, there's nothing like extremely stressful about it. I mean, unless you're not used to like pressing the R2 button if you're on PlayStation, R2 to do the volume, and then your little analog, and then you got to press the X or square button to like kind of rub, you know, the mic and whatever, you know, when you do that in the fight and stuff. And if you're not used to that, then this fight might be a problem. But other than that, which the game before the fight even starts kind of gets you used to it a little bit already, like the scratching and then the grabbing the items and stuff. It somewhat kind of teaches you what's going to happen in the fight if you're actually in Mike's little big-ass area. Before you even fight him, it kind of teaches you how to use that little hand control thing. So, in a way, not the volume control, but the hand little cat control thing. It's weird, but it teaches you how to do that. Anyways, like I said, I don't think Mike is a bad fight. I think Mike is a decent fight / great fight. It's not a horrible battle. It's not a battle that should be taken super seriously. It's a battle you can sit back, laugh at all the wacky, goofy moves, and funk to a really good song. I mean, just hear this, like, here, I'm going to give you Mike's OST throughout the whole fight. Here, let me show you. I might get a little copyright, but I don't care. Hold on, let me, Mike Deltarune, like OST, you know what, I'll give you that. Right? Let me go ahead and do that. Oh my god, freaking ads, bro. But I was going to show you guys the theme that they use in the fight and stuff like that, but, or one of the themes, because I think they switch off from multiple themes, but sounds good. No, they don't use that one. Yeah. Cat swing, that's what they use. For the most part. Come on. I mean, you can't lie, right? With a theme like that, right? With a theme like that, you can't tell me it's not supposed to be taken serious. Now, I know there's other boss fights in the series that you're looking at me like, okay, if you want to go there, Alan, Sans pacifist fight, like from Toby Fox himself. You got me there, okay? Yeah, that theme is casual, but then the fight itself is a little difficult. But you can't tell me in the same scenario like this theme isn't like something you're supposed to take hard, like Omega serious. I mean, I did when I fought him, because usually that's how I am. That's how I lock in, is I get serious, I shut the fuck up, and I get silent a little bit, and I play. But you get it, right? And that's my point about this Mike review, is that I enjoyed Mike. Would I fight him again? Yeah, you know what? I probably would fight him again. I might do worse than I did the first time, because I won't have, like, beginner's luck and do it the first try like I did in my gameplay review of Mike. But I do know this, that I will have, like, lots of fun, and, you know, if I do it again. And that's my point. Mike is not that bad. Anyways, thank you for watching my review on Mike, alright? And also the little conspiracy theory at the end of the fight. Kind of funny. And then if you walk down the dark hallway and you see a giant microphone to show that Tenna wasn't lying, that was also cool too, about Mike's entire weird existence. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share the video with your friends. I'm gonna do another stream. I think it's probably gonna be on Roblox or something, either Roblox or just something else. I mean, I was gonna do Mega Man Power Battle, because I haven't done a Mega Man Power Battle video in a minute, but hey, we can always do it some other time. And yeah, I'll probably try to talk to some of you guys. If you guys want to talk to me during that stream, you guys come on in. Anyways, until next time, guys. See you guys later. I gotta go work on that Gerson thumbnail and then the Gerson review thumbnail. So we got a lot to work on over here.